I work at a little gift shop in Alaska, right underneath a tree occupied by a family of very grumpy crows. Tourists often stop by and ask me the same question. How can you tell a raven from a crow? So I decided to give them a scientific-sounding explanation. I tell them, both birds have special tail feathers that help them fly through Alaska's cold, thin air. They're called pinions. The tourists usually look impressed. Then I continue, ravens have 4 of them, while crows only have 3. They always ask, really? How can you remember that? I smile and say, oh, it's easy. It just comes down to a matter of opinion. Late one night, a police officer was patrolling a quiet road where young couples often park their cars. He noticed a car sitting by itself with the interior light on. The officer walked closer and saw a young man in the driver's seat calmly reading a newspaper. In the back seat, a young woman was quietly knitting. The officer knocked on the window. The driver rolled it down. Evening, officer. The officer looked inside. What exactly are you two doing out here? The young man held up his newspaper. Just reading the evening news, sir. The officer glanced into back seat. And what about her? She's knitting a sweater. The officer looked suspicious. How old are you? 22. And the young lady? The man checked his watch. She'll be 18 in... He paused. About 10 minutes. The officer immediately pulled out his notebook. 10 minutes? The young man nodded. Yep. The officer stared at him for a moment and sighed. Son, you might want to leave. The young man looked confused. Why? The officer pointed at the newspaper. Because if I were you, I'd finish reading it somewhere else. The young man frowned. But why? The officer smiled and said, because in 10 minutes, she's going to be old enough to read the newspaper herself. A young mother took her baby to the doctor because he'd been crying and constantly pulling at one ear. After a quick examination, the doctor smiled. Don't worry, it's just an ear infection. These drops should clear it up. He wrote a prescription and carefully added the instructions. Put 2 drops in the right ear every 4 hours. The pharmacist filled the prescription, and the mother took the baby home. A few days later, she returned to the doctor's office looking frustrated. Doctor, the medicine isn't working. The doctor looked concerned. Are you sure you've been giving him the drops exactly as I instructed? Yes, she said. 2 drops every 4 hours. Into the right ear? The woman nodded confidently. Absolutely. The doctor examined the baby's ear again. Then what's the problem? She sighed. His ear still hurts. But now his bottom is incredibly oily. The doctor stared at her in confusion. His bottom? She held up the bottle. I followed the instructions on the label. The doctor grabbed the bottle, read it carefully, and suddenly understood. He looked at the mother and asked, Did you perhaps think the letter meant something else? She shrugged. I thought it meant rear. The doctor quietly covered his face with his hands. A man was approached by a marketing company with a very unusual offer. They told him, We'll give you a luxury vacation if you agree to promote our new bathroom cleaner. He immediately shook his head. Absolutely not. I have principles. No amount of money could make me compromise my dignity. The salesperson looked impressed. That's admirable. So you're saying your morals are stronger than temptation? Without question, the man replied proudly. The salesperson smiled. Excellent. The man nodded confidently. I'm practically Ajax level strong. The salesperson paused. Ajax. The man grinned. Yeah, strong enough to clean anything. Even my conscience. Dr. Simon is known throughout London as one of the best consultants on arthritis. He always has a waiting room full of people who need his advice and specialist treatment. One day, an elderly lady slowly struggles into his waiting room. She is completely bent over and leans heavily on her walking stick. A chair is found for her. Eventually, her turn comes to go into Dr. Simon's office. 15 minutes later, to everyone's surprise, she comes briskly out of his room, walking almost upright. She is holding her head high and has a smile on her face. A woman in the waiting room says, "It's unbelievable, a miracle even. You walked in bent in half, and now you walk out erect. What a fantastic doctor he is. Tell me, what did Dr. Simon do to you?" "Miracle, schmiracle. He just gave me a longer walking stick." I threw a housewarming party last weekend, and the next morning I found a man I'd never met before lying on my kitchen floor. He was a friend of a friend, so I figured he'd simply had too much to drink. "All right, mate," I said. "Party's over. Time to head home." I helped him stand, but the moment I let go, he collapsed straight back onto the floor. "You're definitely still drunk. Where do you live?" He mumbled an address. I helped him up again and slowly got him outside. Every time I released him, down he went. After several attempts, I finally got him into my car and drove him home. When we arrived, getting him out was another struggle. He fell 3 more times before I somehow managed to drag him to the front door. I rang the bell. His wife answered. I apologized and said, "I'm really sorry. Your husband had a little too much to drink at my party." She sighed. "That's all right. He does enjoy a good drink." I nodded sympathetically. Then she looked past me toward the driveway and asked, "But where's his wheelchair?" An anteater walked into a small neighborhood bar and sat down at the counter. The bartender smiled. "Can I get you something to drink?" The anteater slowly shook his head. "No." The bartender tried again. "How about something to eat?" "No." "Maybe some peanuts?" "No." By now, the bartender was getting frustrated. "All right, what's with the incredibly long no?" The anteater sighed and pointed toward his face. "What?" The anteater smiled and said, "I was born with it. I'm just naturally long-nosed." Me. "Hello, I would like to make a withdrawal." Receptionist. "Are you sure you're not here to make a deposit, sir?" Me. "No." Receptionist. "Just a few questions, sir. Are you married?" Me. No." Receptionist. "Do you have a partner?" Me. "No, again. Why do you need to know my marital status and relationship?" Receptionist. Ignores my question. "Are you planning to have kids?" In vitro. Me. I was getting annoyed at this point. "No." "Can I please just make a withdrawal?" Receptionist. "Sir, this is a sperm bank."